Very good. Good afternoon, listener, and once again, welcome. This is Radio Nigeria, Highland 101.5 FM Jos, and you are welcome to the Ziva Community Initiative Radio Engagement Program on the project, the role of artisanal and small-scale miners ASM in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. Don't forget that this program is proudly sponsored by Ziva Community Initiative with support from the Africa Center for Energy Policy ACEP. And of course, always on this program, we bring you insightful discussions on artisanal and small-scale mining, that's the ASMs. We also talk about energy transition and climate change in Nigeria. My name is Stephen Eagle. I am your host for the program. All right. Everything that has a beginning has an end. We started this program a couple of weeks ago, and fortunately or unfortunately, this is the last installment of the radio engagement program brought to you by Ziva on the project, the role of artisanal and small scale miners ASM in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. And we're going to go up to the bank because we're going to discuss the nitty-gritties of ASM and their contributions to their communities. We're going to be looking at the positive sides of ASM, and our topic of discuss today is the role of local communities in promoting sustainable ASM practices. That's sustainable artisanal and small-scale mining practices in Nigeria and the local communities that we are discussing or dealing with. And my guest today in the studio is Mr. Richard Ashinze, an environmental geologist. Mr. Ashinze was with us last week on the program, and he's here again. Thank you, Mr. Ashinze, for making yourself available once more for this radio engagement.
Thank you for having me.
All right, listener, you know how the program goes. We have two segments. The first segment is the interview segment. Thereafter, when we take a break, we shall return with the main, or rather the call-in or phone-in segment, where you get to be part of the program by calling in and contributing on our topic of discuss or asking my guest a question or two. So, like I said, today we shall be discussing local communities, or the role of local communities in promoting sustainable artisanal and small-scale mining practices. All right, the program will kickstart in earnest right after this break. Do stay with us.
Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, promoting sustainable artisanal and small-scale mining practices for Nigeria's energy transition.
All right, listener, you are welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Radio Nigeria Highland 101.5 FM Just, and the program is the Ziva Community Initiative Radio Engagement Program on the project, the role of artisanal and small-scale miners ASM in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. My name is Stephen Eagle. I am your host, and this program is proudly sponsored by Ziva Community Initiative with support from the African Center for Energy Policy ACEP. And our topic of discuss today on the program is the role of local communities in promoting sustainable ASM, that's artisanal and small-scale mining practices. And my guest in the studio is Mr. Richard Ashinze, an environmental geologist. Once more, Mr. Ashinze, good afternoon and welcome on the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right, listen out. Just before we get started, the program is divided into two segments. The first segment is the interview segment where Mr. Ashinze here will be responding to a couple of questions, and much later on, our phone lines will be made available so that you can be part of the program by dialing in and making your comments or contributions known, and also if you want to ask my guest a question or two. All right, so shall we get the ball started? All right, let's start with the basics. We all know that ASMs is a vital part of our communities, providing jobs, income and economic opportunities. However, it comes with its own challenges, from environmental concerns to social impact. So how can ASM contribute, that's artisanal and small scale mining, contribute positively to community development? What role do community led initiatives play in making artisanal and small scale mining more sustainable? So these are the questions we'll be responding to. So artisanal and small scale mining, that's ASM, is often deeply rooted in local communities. It provides jobs, supports families, and also it even drives local economies. How important is the ASM or artisanal and small scale mining to local communities? What impact does it have on the people's livelihoods?
Yeah, good afternoon once again, and thank you for having me. Now, talking about ASM and its impact on community livelihood, as we all know, ASM creates jobs for communities, for the locals. It's a means of creating more jobs, and when more jobs are created, people are bound to get attracted to the location. People migrate to this location where these job opportunities have been created through these ASM practices. So looking at this, ASM contributes one way or the other to local economies. Yeah, through the job creation, through people migrating, you get people, they need places to stay, the money, they do every other thing like the locals in the community. So money circulates within the community. The local economy is boosted one way or the other through the increase in population, just because of the ASM activities. So I think this is the major way ASM contributes to local communities, aside other developments from maybe ASM organizations and corporations.
Okay. Yeah. So apart from the job creation, wealth creation, what other upsides do we have to ASM activities in these communities? Talking about socially now.
Okay, I would say in the educational aspect, because there are some people, when it comes to ASM, a lot of people fund their education, children's education, through ASM. So that's another impact on the society. A lot of people do various things from ASM. Some people even go into agriculture, they have enough money to fund their agricultural career or businesses. So these are little ways. So the educational aspect is another valid example how ASM contributes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about security-wise? Do you think it gives security in terms of getting the youths out of vices and other mischievous activities, and getting them involved in hands-on jobs? And
definitely.
Would you say that?
Definitely.
Okay.
Just like the job creation, people who are idle, who have nothing doing, even who constitute nuisance in the localities, they get busy with something. So that was why I said majorly the job creation is one of the major contributions of ASM to communities. It engages people. A lot of people get engaged because we have a lot of communities aside agriculture. What they have is mining. So people get engaged. If they are not doing the agricultural activities, they are into the mining ASMs.
So they are always occupied.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we understand the connection between ASMs and communities, let's explore how artisanal and small-scale miners can do more than just provide jobs. Yes, that's beyond income generation that you mentioned and job opportunities. there are also many other opportunities for ASM operators to contribute positively to their community. So, how can these ASMs contribute to their community development, and what opportunities exist for ASM operators in these communities, and also as a means for them to give back to their communities or these communities that they operate in?
Okay, now looking at this aside the job creation, and in the past, we'll look at what has happened in the past and what is happening now. We have ASMs that have come together, cooperatives, they repaired roads. In Mango, for example, Gendry, Mango, they were able to contribute, repaired roads, and this road did not just serve them. It also served farmers because it's also led to their farms. So now, as a means of making their jobs easier for them, it also helped the locals within the community. Also, we have ASMs have been able to, in one way or the other, collaborate with NGOs when it comes to the health and the health sector. Collaborate with NGOs, then they carry out screenings in these communities, malaria screenings, typhoid screenings. Some even go as far as carrying out respiratory screenings because they know, okay, these mining activities definitely have impacts on the environment. Yeah, some go as far as giving scholarships to students, like the in Bukuru, yeah, on the Jos Plateau. Yeah, the ASM, they came together as a corporation. They have the corporation. They came together. They supported over 50 students, primary students, secondary students. This is just their little way of contributing to the community. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's quite interesting. Quite interesting. Very laudable. Sustainability is a big concern in the ASM. So we've seen cases of deforestation, water pollution, and unsafe working conditions. But communities are not just standing by; they are taking action through various initiatives. What role do community-led initiatives play in promoting sustainable ASM practices, and how can communities collaborate with local governments and these NGOs that you just mentioned to promote sustainable ASM activities and practices?
Okay. When it comes to issues of the environment, everyone is involved. Not just the miners, the government, everyone is involved. Everyone is a stakeholder. Now, communities have collaborated with NGOs in terms of afforestation, planting of trees. We have the Green Mine Initiative. An NGO, communities have collaborated, then they've at least done something in their own little way, planting of trees to reduce the issues of erosion and every other contribution that has to do. Now, even collaboration with government, like the Plateau State Land Restoration Program. They've restored some lands and they've been able to do that in their own little way. So all this comes together, and at the end, you realize you've been able to contribute something. Now, also, we have communities when it comes to issues of pollution, and communities, instead of the steady conflict between miners and the locals, now communities have been able to cooperate, because everyone is affected. What can we do? Now, when you move into a community and you say you want to mine, what are your plans of keeping our environment clean instead of just disposing your waste recklessly? And now collaboration has really helped, even aside collaborating with NGOs, government, the mutual relationship between the locals and the miners, yes, has really helped in at least improving sustainability of the environment.
Okay. All right. So, what other initiatives are there? Other initiatives, and how successful have these initiatives been so far? Or what are the challenges to such initiatives in the first place? Let's talk about the challenges to such initiatives.
Okay.
If at all there are any.
Yeah, definitely. But the thing is, when it comes to community-based, community-led initiatives, there's always a stakeholder. Communities have their representatives, just like the cooperation I mentioned earlier between miners and the locals. They have their stakeholders. You communicate with their stakeholders just to avoid any problem. Their stakeholders, their representatives, they know how to relate better with them. So that might be a problem, but avoiding such problem is just meeting the village heads, community heads. They know how to converse better with their people. So I think that is one thing that can problem that could arise. But it's easy to navigate. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's hear some other success stories across Nigeria and beyond, if possible. They have been inspiring other community projects and have transformed the ASM into a force of good rather than the negative publicity that it gets sometimes. Can you share some of these examples of some successful community projects in the ASM sector and lessons that can be learned from these stories?
Talking about successes, collaborations, cooperations have actually led to successes. Then, looking at mining pits in Jos Plateau and other parts of the country, we realize some of these pits have been reclaimed in collaboration with governments, restoration programs. Even on the plateau here, we can see them. And also, some of these pits have been utilized in terms of farmers now use them for fish farming. Some of these mining pits have been used. Then some even serve farmers when it comes to irrigation purposes. Yes, they use these because they now serve as reservoirs for water. So farmers now use them for irrigation, fish farming, and even this planting of trees. It has been quite successful when it comes to collaborations with NGOs. So these are the little things, these are the successes. Then also proper waste management. Miners have been educated enough, workshops have taken place. How do we engage in greener mining? These are some of the successes, and looking at the results from these initiatives, we've seen much progress.
Okay. What about outside Nigeria? What success stories are there for the ASM or the ASM community operators that are out there that are listening that they can take back and probably try to implement here in Nigeria?
When it comes to outside Nigeria, I will talk about the ASM formalization in Peru.
Okay.
Yeah, they were what the Peruvian government did. They were after formalization. They had too many illegal miners, and Peru is they have one of the highest number of ASMs in the world. They actually looked after formalization. How can we reduce illegal mining? First and foremost. Then from that they could control the activities of the miners. Yes. Then they supported miners into green mining. People that actually followed the sustainable mining activities. They supported them financially, and that was what they were able to do. But formalization was key.
Okay. Do we have a blueprint here?
Yeah.
That is operational and that is either operational or widely acceptable.
Yeah, in Nigeria.
In the ASM community, among the ASM operators and other stakeholders, government and even NGOs, if possible.
Okay, just in Nigeria between 2017 and 2022, there was the Main Diver project, which focused on ASMs, and the goal was to formalize ASM in Nigeria. Then after the formalization, they were able to carry out workshops, financial support for ASMs. So I think it's something that has been done in Nigeria. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And they were able to, a lot of illegal miners were able to even transform into legal mining.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Richard. All right. The future of ASM depends on sustainable practices. We all know that. In fact, any other business has to be sustainable. Without proper management, ASM can have negative long-term effects. But with the right approach, it can be a powerful tool for community development. What role do community-led initiatives play in promoting sustainable ASM practices? And how can these initiatives be scaled up to have a wider impact?
Yes, the roles ASMs play, the roles they've been playing and continue to play is, one, in the issue of, just like I said, the reclaiming of mines. They've been able to, it's similar to the previous question, they've been able to reclaim mines. Proper water management, collaboration with the miners, how do we engage in this sustainable, because communities have been affected, farmers have been affected one way or the other. So how do we manage these wastes so that we won't be affected? So proper management is key. Waste management is key, and also when it comes to awareness, public awareness, because I think public awareness tops the list. Some of these miners need to be, ASMs need to be properly educated on these activities they are carrying out. How do these activities affect the environment? So when they are aware, they can do better. When they are aware of the implications of their activities, they can do better. And equipments, financial support goes a long way. How do we, because this waste management is not just, they need money to manage their waste, either by recycling this waste or reuse of these wastes. They need money for this. So financial support, proper waste management, and collaboration from the locals, between the locals and the miners. So these have really helped with the sustainability.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about when you were talking about when you were just responding now. You mentioned awareness.
Yeah.
Is enough being done? This is a two-pronged question. Is enough being done in terms of awareness from the NGOs and from government itself? So let's start with government.
Yeah, when it
Has
comes
government done enough in terms of sensitization and creating awareness?
when it comes to issue of awareness, more can always be done.
Okay.
No matter how the effort is being put into the awareness, educating the public, more can always be done. Because every day we have people, new people coming into ASM. So awareness is something that should be done on a regular basis. It's something we need, because the environment is being affected daily. So this reminder needs to be done. No, the government is trying. We have initiatives, we have NGOs doing this, the awareness, educating people, workshops. But I don't think we can have anything as too much awareness. Awareness is key. Educating the people, the miners, the locals, and not just the ASMs now. Yeah.
Even the communities.
Yeah,
themselves.
communities should be aware. They should be aware of the implications of mining on the environment, so they can.
So they can be more
yeah,
involved.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about government and the people. There seems to be some form of distrust, because examples like from here in Plateau, we've seen where they are mining, let's say this XYZ location, mining activities are undergoing there, and as soon as government comes, you see people are either running off, or there's this confrontation or clash between the ASM practitioners and government. So what do you think is the issue here?
The issue here, I would say, is a lot of people are into illegal mining.
Okay.
Yeah, that is key. So you see, when they see government officials, environmental officials, they flee the location. Illegal mining, a lot of people are into illegal mining. I cannot be registered and I see government officials. If I'm doing the right thing, a lot of them even pollute the environment. Their activities are not sustainable. So I think that is the major reason. Okay. That is the major reason for the conflict.
Okay, but do you think there's a good relationship between government and the people in terms of policies and enforcement of these policies?
Yeah, when it comes to enforcement of these policies, I think regardless of the response of the people, the environment first. Whether the people like it or not, they need to follow these policies. These laws are there to be followed. So whichever way the government plans to implement these policies, people need to adhere to them. So it's just for the benefit of the people and not the government. Because at the end of the day, when the environment is affected, we are the ones affected. So that's just...
All right. All right, thank you very much. All right, listener, this is Radio Nigeria Highland 101.5 FM. If you're just joining us, this is the Ziva Community Initiative Radio Engagement Program. On the project, the role of artisanal and small-scale miners ASM in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. Our topic of discuss this afternoon is the role of local communities in promoting sustainable ASM practices. And my guest in the studio is Mr. Richard Ashinze, an environmental geologist. All right, listener, we shall be taking a short break, and when we return, the phone line will be made available for the second segment of the program, which is the phone-in segment, although the interviews will continue. And at this point in time, you get to be part and parcel of the program by calling in and making your contributions or comments known, or asking my guest a question or two. So do stay with us and don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. That's 3 questions left.
It's not much. It's like you don't really.
I mentioned it. I told it. Don't talk about community-led initiatives. You said it was almost the same the last question. That's when I asked it. But you want to still talk about something, yeah?
Because there's one place talking about the impact, the negative impact.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yes, and we'll talk about where's that word again? Proper management. It's in the same proper management.
Okay, maybe it's a different question then. Maybe it's number 6. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay,
Challenges. Okay. All right, listener, you are welcome back. And if you're just joining us, this is Radio Nigeria, Highland 101.5 FM Jos, and the program is the Ziva Community Initiative Radio Engagement Program on the project, the role of artisanal and small-scale miners ASM in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. And our topic of discuss today is the role of local communities in promoting sustainable ASM practices. And this program is proudly sponsored by Ziva Community Initiative with support from the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. My guest in the studio is Mr. Richard Ashinze, an environmental geologist, and my name is Stephen Ego. All right, the phone lines are available now for you to call in and make your comments or contributions and to ask my guest a question or two. The number to call is 091 6197 5630. That's 091 6197 5630. Now, this is the phone-in segment where you get to call and be part of the program. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your experiences, or whether your experiences and suggestions, comments on the way forward in terms of ASMs and the role the community plays in promoting sustainable ASM practices. All right. Again, the number to call is 091 6197 5630. That's 091 6197 5630. All right, Mr. Richard, while we wait for the calls to come in, we may proceed with our discussion again. All right. While community-led efforts and responsible mining practices are gaining momentum, there are still significant challenges that need to be addressed. What are some of these challenges your community faces in trying to practice sustainable ASMs, or what challenges have you come across? What impact do these challenges have on the livelihoods, or both the livelihoods of the, or on the livelihood of the communities and the environment?
Okay. We have, when it comes to ASM activities, as much as we have the successes, we also have the lapses.
Yes.
And yeah, I would say pollution, serious environmental pollution, considering the past and what is happening now. Serious environmental pollution. When it comes to water pollution, just take the case of Zamfara. Between 2010 and 2013, they were involved in lead, mining of gold, lead extraction. So what were these miners doing? I said something earlier. I said there's no such thing as over awareness. People need to be aware of their activities. These miners, they were mining gold, and they were even taking it home to even extract the lead and everything. So this led to there was serious lead poisoning because they were emitting the lead, they were inhaling the lead, they were pounding in their mortars. These same mortars were used in pounding their foods. So now a lot of people died, most especially children. Between 2010 and 2013, about I think 4,000 children underwent chelation therapy just to remove these heavy metals from their body. That's over 4,000 children in the space of 3 years. Now, about 1,500 homes were contaminated, their soils and everything. Government had to even ban mining for a while in Zamfara state due to this pollution. So now, after, what did the government do? They banned mining for a while, then they set up workshops, rigorous trainings, just to educate people on the impact of mining, especially when it comes to gold. Gold mining it has serious impact on the environment. Why? These miners use lead in the extraction of these golds. They use mercury rather in the extraction of these golds, and at the end of the day, they maybe through evaporation and everything, one way or the other, it finds its way into water bodies. And when it gets into water, it's very dangerous. We have methyl mercury, which is very dangerous. Just like the case in Japan. There was a mining going on along the Minamata Bay. Even after the mining was stopped, 10 years after, the bay was polluted. That's the water body. Well, even 10 years after, they realized people were dying of throat cancer and other things. So what happened? They had to trace everything and trace it down to the mining activities that went on over 10 years ago. So these are the things we need to know. It is not just about the money you make from these activities. Even this same mercury in gold mining, it's very dangerous to the miners themselves. So it is not just to the locals of the community. To the miners, it is very dangerous. And now, some of them, they are aware, but they know if they stop the use of mercury, it will reduce production. So it's not like they are not aware. They are aware of the implications of these things, but they prefer, let us have more output and our health is at risk. So these things are problems we face in our daily activities. These mining activities are not sustainable. The environment is suffering water pollution, serious water pollution. Not just in Zamfara, even in Osun State. The Osun River was polluted. Same mercury pollution used in gold extraction. It happened in Niger State. Even on the Jos Plateau, yeah, same thing. So these are some challenges and how they affect human health. You see a lot of people go down with different sicknesses from water intake, kidney diseases. All these things are from this mining. Some of them are from the mining activities. So these are problems people face. The health, when it comes to the health, they don't have access to clean water. Even the farmlands are lost. Because when you release these things into the environment, it affects the land. It degrades it. And at the end of the day, you don't have enough arable lands for even agriculture. So there is low agricultural produce, low production. So these are some of the problems we face when it comes to improper activities, mining activities.
All right. Yeah. All right, just out of curiosity and for the layman out there listening, are there other practices for extracting gold other than the use of mercury?
Yeah,
safer practices?
Definitely.
Can you mention them?
Yeah, we have the gravity method used. But just like I said earlier, they prefer more output than following due process. So that is just, we have the gravity method which can be used by ASMs instead of the mercury.
All right, thank you very much. All right, quite interesting. All right, it's clear that sustainable ASM is complex. It's a complex issue from what you've just said, but solutions do exist. Government, businesses, and communities all have a role to play in addressing these challenges. So what can be done to address these challenges? And are there specific policies or programs that have worked or can work in order or are working in other countries that Nigeria can learn from and utilize here?
Yeah, talking about policies to reduce the effects of mining, the government needs to, they have a major role to play. Just like I said, whatever way the government chooses to enforce these laws and policies, the citizens must abide by the laws, because it is for the benefit of everyone and the environment. Now we have, I would say, inspection of ASM activities. We have a lot of activities going on. A lot of people, they do what they want to do because they know probably no one is coming to inspect them. Inspection of activities. We have the bodies there, the laws are there. We are not supposed to release toxins to the environment. When you are releasing effluents, there's a permissible standard, acceptable standard. Just like the case of in Niger State, they realized that the lead content in the water people were consuming was 400 times more than the WHO standard. So now the government needs to come in. Proper inspections should be done. When ASMs apply for their license, they should prepare their restoration plans. How do you plan on restoring this environment if anything goes wrong? Emergency restoration plan or whatever. What do you think? What do you plan on doing if there's water pollution or environmental pollution? So these are the things we need to look at. Then proper inspection. Then if possible, when it comes to the issue of waste management, there should be awareness. There should be public education. Now not just for the miners, but for the locals. Let them know the impact of these activities on the environment. If possible, if a waste recycling plant can be located either by the government or private bodies within areas where we have mining activities ongoing, it will really go a long way. Then if you cannot manage your waste, they manage your waste for you. Then there will be certain ways to do that, either you pay or whatever. But we must find ways to reduce environmental pollution through mining waste.
Right. Okay. We've been talking about challenges. Okay. Are there any challenges on the side of government in terms of carrying out their mandate? First of all, mining activities. We have two, illegal and legal. What's the percentage of illegal mining activities? And what's the percentage of mining activities? Do you think the government itself has an idea or a database on these activities? Are they aware of every illegal mining activity and
definitely
where it's ongoing?
Yeah, they are aware of the legal. There is record for legal mining activities,
Okay.
but the illegal, there's no way except they have been caught. But we know we have illegal mining, and on the part of the government, I would say there should be strict laws when it comes to mining and the environment. Strict laws, and the laws are there, but they should be implemented, and not just implemented. They should ensure that for every violator, the consequence, the penalty should be sufficient enough to deter future occurrence. I think that is one thing the government needs to look into. Not just there's environmental pollution, you pay a fine or something. No, it will occur in the nearest future. Is the consequence, is the penalty sufficient to violate future occurrence? That is one thing. So the government needs to implement. They need to enforce these mining laws, the release of harmful effluents into the environment. Yes. So that's where I think still the government agency in Nigeria, that's where they come in, and even the ministry mines are still, they come in, see what they can do to make sure these things are actually working and not just on paper.
All right. In your own opinion, out of 10 miners, how many are illegal miners? Because I believe when we can answer this question, we can prefer better solutions to our to our environment. If we have an idea of how many mining activities are illegal and where they are, so that you can address those issues. So just your opinion, your opinion out of 10.
You said something. You said where they are.
Yeah.
You need to know when it comes to mining can occur anywhere, even where you don't have people. I think as of 2020, there was a place I visited in Abuja. On our way there, we did not even know people were living there. We had no idea. We just got there. We saw they built with Dangote bag cement. That was what they used, and bamboos. We got there. It was illegal mining was going on. Then we realized, there's no way as a government official, or there's no way you would know something like that is going on. We have hundreds of people working there. So these things, I think there's really no way you can know their location, except maybe I don't know, maybe you have informants or whatever, but illegal mining will continue. But now, to reduce these things, that is where the government comes in with support. Just like I made mention of the Mine Diver project. A lot of illegal miners, when there was support, so they just have to transition into legal mining. There was financial support, trainings, and technical support. So these are the things they need.
All right, thank you very much. All right, listener, you're still tuned and listening to Radio Nigeria, Highland 101.5 FM Jos, and this is the Ziva Community Initiative Program, Radio Engagement Program, on the project, the role of artisanal and small-scale mining ASMs in energy transition and climate change in Nigeria. And our topic of discuss this afternoon is the role of local communities in promoting sustainable ASM practices. And my guest in the studio, Mr. Richard Ashinze, an environmental geologist, has been responding to several questions, and this is your opportunity to ask him your question or to call us and let us know of your experiences or your comments and contributions on the program. The number to call is 09161975630. That's 09161975630. Call us and let us know what are your own experiences and join us in the discourse, and maybe you can ask my guest a question or two regarding our topic of discuss today. So once more, the number to call is 09161975630. 09161975630. All right, let's look at the future of ASM as we begin to wrap up. Okay, how can it truly become a sustainable economic driver for communities?
Okay, when it comes to the sustainability,
Yes.
everyone is involved. As far as the environment is involved in the activities. Now, we need government commitment. Government commitment is one thing, the key thing. Because whatever the government says, the citizens will do. So government commitment is one thing. The laws should be enforced. We have several laws, the mining laws, the effluent laws, water protection, everything is there. So now there should be enforcement, strict enforcement. Because a lot of water bodies have been polluted. A lot of communities experience pollution day in, day out. That even there's no access to clean water in several communities due to these mining activities. So government commitment, government should really come in. Then also partnerships. NGOs, private bodies, how can they help with either financial support, just like in Tanzania? What did the government do? They assisted ASMs in terms of finance, getting equipments, even safety gears for themselves. They assisted them through loans. Most of them were given through loans in Tanzania. Then in Peru, government supported those that were engaged in sustainable mining. If your activities are affecting the environment, you get punished. If it's sustainable enough, you get support. So I think that is one. Also, the awareness. I keep hammering on this awareness. It's very important. Very important. ASMs can come together as cooperatives, have technical sessions. How can they get these equipment? How can they actually carry out these activities? So all these things will definitely spring up to having sustainable practices. So I think then the locals should be involved. Health first. Our health and environment is first, not even the money you are making. Because at the end of the day, when your environment is polluted, the money cannot even restore it. The money cannot restore it. Just like the issue in the Zamfara, the lead poisoning. About 1,500 homes were affected. Even the soils were affected. The government had to excavate the soils to the depth that was affected. So all these things, they affect food production. At the end of the day, we suffer the consequences of our actions. So these are certain ways we can, possible ways we can.
All right, thank you very much. All right, listener 09161975630. That's 09161975630. Call us, and we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's discussion? Do you have examples of community-led ASM projects that are making a difference, or do you have concerns about ASM's impact on your community? Call us and let us know. 09161975630. 09161975630. All right, I have a question I've been meaning to ask in terms of the role of the community itself. What other role do communities have? Do you think, first of all, they should be the gatekeepers in terms of their communities when people just migrate to their community and want to start mining? Shouldn't they be the first point of call or first point of contact between the miners and the community? Say, hey, hold on, what do you want to do here? I want to mine. Okay, first of all, what do you want to mine? Your reclamation policy or program, do you have one? Shouldn't the communities play a more important role than just sitting down and having people just come in and when the devastation takes place, then they start to get involved? Shouldn't they be the primary stakeholders?
Yeah, definitely. They have their representatives, communities, and that was why I said these representatives should be aware. The community stakeholders should be aware. Okay, these people are coming to mine in our community. What are the impacts of the activities they are coming to carry out? Now we know the impacts. That's where the education comes in. You educate these people. They know the impacts. Now, what are your plans of restoring or tackling these issues peradventure they occur? So that is where the restoration plan comes. If anything is affected, what are your plans of managing your waste? Because waste will definitely be generated. What are your plans of managing these things? So I think from there they can have sufficient information. If these people really know what they are doing, if they really have plans, or they are just after what they are here to mine. I think from there they can have sufficient information. And even the government can also request for these things when processing your license. Okay, I'm open to mine in this community. Then you provide the government with your plans. Are you just going there just to mine and you leave the community with their problems? No. What are your plans? Are your activities going to be sustainable? So these things should be put into consideration because they are key.
All right. Well, thank you very much. All right. So in terms of transitioning from crude or old ways of mining, what suggestions can be made in that? Even migrating them from the old ways of doing things to the new ways or semi-new ways of doing things.
Yeah, when it comes
to ensure best practices.
Okay, I think I'll go with the first one. When it comes to transitioning from crude to other sources of energy, I think we just have to, because the implications it's telling by the day on the climate and even increase in greenhouse gases. So we just have to move from burning fossil fuels. We have other sources of energy. We have the solar energy, we have the bio, we have even the wind and everything. So we should be ready. We need to. Other countries have done it. China and several other countries. Now these means are available. All we need to do, the resources are there, the sun is there. What we need to do is harness these things. So how do we do? Government support is needed. Initiatives can be laid. Okay, these are the plans. In over how many years? How many years are we open to achieve these goals? And are we ready to reduce the over-dependence? Because it will definitely help us. Over-dependence on crude. What we consider the cost, we consider the local communities. How will they benefit from this? will it be affordable to them? So these are the things we need to consider. They are key.
Okay.
Because even these local communities, when the reliance on crude oil is reduced, certain things will become affordable to them in terms of, because their major source of cooking is felling of trees. So now when we reduce the overdependence on crude oil, we harness other sources of energy. Crude will definitely not be as expensive as it is. So probably the gas and everything can even be affordable to them. So these are the little ways we can transition.
All right. Before you leave us here today, what are your final thoughts? If you're speaking to the ASM community or the operators, and you're speaking to the communities themselves, what would you say to them as your final thoughts?
I would say, when it comes to the environment, everyone is involved. We are the government. Everyone is involved, and we are the first victims of our activities. Yeah, so we should take issues of the environment seriously, because just one activity can affect a whole community for years. So we should be our environmental police first. We should enforce our laws first and put our communities first when it comes to the issue of sustainability.
All right, thank you very much. That's a wrap for today's discussion on ASMs and community-led development. A huge thank you to my guest, Mr. Richard Ashinze, and environmental geologist. Thank you very much, Mr. Richard, for coming on the program. Thank you for sharing your insights with us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you to the listener. Thank you for investing your time with us. And remember, ASMs, that's artisanal and small-scale mining, can be a force for good when done responsibly. Communities, miners, and policymakers all have a role to play in ensuring that artisanal and small-scale mining is not just an economic driver, but also a tool for sustainable development. All right, I want to thank the Ziva community crew. Thank you very much for making it possible for us to have a wonderful discussion today. I want to thank you once again, the listener. I thank the Ziva community crew. Thank you to Ziva for sponsoring this program. And thank you to Ziva's partner, that is the African Center for Energy Policy. Thank you very much. Like I said, this is the last edition of this program. So we say bye for now. But although we will see you sometime soon again. My name is Stephen Eagle. Say bye for now and see you sometime soon. Thank you.